welcome to your Fantasy Fulfilled, right here on GSP the network. It's the one and only, your girl, Latasha Miles, aka Joan, Madden, the Gridirion goddess, back at you with week 2, your studs, duds, and sprouting buds. Yep, your automatics, your bench warmers, and your sleepers. Now, week number 1 brought about an interesting take with surprises from Alex Smith, Spencer Ware, Jameis Winston, Minnesota's defense, and rookie quarterback from the Eagles, Carson Wentz. Now, as for disappointments, Adrian Peterson, Todd Gurley, Devontae Freeman, and Gary Barnidge because of Cleveland's quarterback issues midway through the season opener. Man, y'all got y'all fantasy owners running around here talking about some "you owe me" in my genuine voice. But hey, it's just week 1. It's okay. It's all good. They'll forgive you this time, but don't let it happen again, all right? Now, I'd be remiss not to mention my boo, Dez Bryant, because he was also a disappointment, but hey, it was my fault. I mean, I had him on the phone too late that Saturday night, and it threw him off, so my bad. But again, it's week 1. The rebound performances are coming, all right? And to start week 2, on Thursday night, we saw tremendous performances from Matt Forte with his 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. By the way, if you listen to me about Matt Forte on the week 1 fantasy football breakdown right here on GSP and the network on your Fantasy Fulfilled, then you would have been eating last week and Thursday night as well, as I told you to go out there and get Matt Forte. Yep, you would have been eating like Pac-Man. And I'm not talking about like Adam Pac-Man Jones. I'm talking about like throwback Atari days, 1980s Pac-Man. You know, yeah, that sound like that. That's how you would have been eating. But anyway, I digress. Back to Thursday night's game. Ryan Fitzpatrick actually looked like a $12 million quarterback with 374 passing yards. Even Tyrod Taylor looked good in a losing effort with 297 yards and 3 passing touchdowns himself. Although I had him to have a good game during week 1 in Baltimore because it was a more favorable matchup. But Tyrod Taylor, you had me out here looking foolish last week. You know what? I'm going to have to give you the Kanye stare for that one. Yep, the Kanye stare. You're going to get that from me. But see, that's why you lost on Thursday night. That's exactly why you lost. Making me look bad. That's what you get. That's exactly why you lost. Now, I'm just kidding, Tyrod. But what I'm not kidding about, I'm going to make sure that you, the good people tuned in right now, I'm going to make sure that you don't look bad. Hey, I'm not going to Tyrod Taylor you on this episode. I'm here to get you to the victory. I got you covered. Have no fear. Joe Madden is here. All right, so let's get started with your That's Just Automatic in my TLC voice. Yeah, back from that fan mail album. You know what I'm saying? Yes, your sure shots for week number 2, starting with Eli Manning at home against the Saints. The last time these two teams played was in 2015, and they combined for 101 points. Yeah, that part. That's actually some college football scores that we're talking about. Eli threw 6 touchdowns during that scoring spree. And of course, I'm not expecting that many touchdowns from him today, but I think this will be another shootout. Probably like a 38-34 type game this time around, and Eli to hold the fort down for the Giants. Now, the Saints defense didn't get much better from last year other than veteran Roman Harper returning. And the average of this game's score last year was 50.5, and that's about how old Roman Harper is. Yeah. Now, Ben McAdoo is now Eli's head coach, and his turnovers have quietly reduced since they worked together over the past few years. And then there's the return of Victor Cruz in his arsenal this season, too. I like Derek Carr against the Falcons as they visit the black hole. Carr tiptoed his way into the Pro Bowl last season, and he was only 13 yards away from throwing for 4K. And, did you see what Jameis Winston did to Atlanta last week? Also, go with Blake Bortles in San Diego. There was a second half collapse from the Chargers last Sunday, and Bortles has been battle-tested hanging in there against the Packers a week ago, throwing for 320 yards. Bortles has also improved over the past couple of years, and Jacksonville is running a 2 tight end set with Lewis and Thomas, which will create matchup problems, and I like his young receiving core as well, the tandem of Hearns and Robinson. Additional players to start include TJ Yeldon in San Diego and Jeremy Hill in Pittsburgh. Michael Floyd versus Tampa, because their game plan is essentially to stop Larry Fitzgerald. And now that Cleveland has to turn to McCown as their starting signal caller, a reliable tight end in this situation is Gary Barnidge and any starting receiver in that New Orleans and Giants game. Shoot, I was even thinking about seeing if I could play in this game myself and catch a touchdown, but I'm going to the Panthers and Niners game in a little bit. There's a lot of controversy surrounding standing up during the national anthem or taking a knee during the national anthem. But these are players who will be doing no kneeling or no standing. It's not necessary. They need to sit before and after the national anthem. Do not start Isaiah Crowell against the Ravens. Baltimore's defense is healthy again, and they did a tremendous job last Sunday in shutting down the Bills' ground attack, only allowing 65 rushing yards, and I expect much of the same against Crowell. Martellus Bennett, and for this week, he's some kin to my name Bennett and I ain't in it, meaning he's not in the runnings to be a starter in your fantasy league. We thought that he would have a breakout game last week during Gronkowski's absence, but he put up a whopping 3-catch, 14 yards performance. Something tells us that Martellus will not be a factor in Garoppolo's temporary offense. Now, I know there was some concern about Denver's defense heading into this season, considering their bloodbath in free agency. After all, they lost Danny Trevathan and Malik Jackson, but we were reminded of the Super Bowl caliber defense against Carolina during week 1. However, that concern returns during week 2 as they go up against Andrew Luck and the Colts. I mean, since their divisional loss 24-13 to Luck and company back home during the 2014 season, there was a few times that Peyton Manning and the Broncos had nightmares of Andrew Luck just kicked my butt in my nationwide commercial voice. And despite Denver having such names as Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware play in that game, they didn't sack Luck at all, not one time. Luck threw 43 times in that game, 47 times last week against Detroit, so he'll probably throw for 45 times later this afternoon in this showdown. So it's best to look for an alternative defense if Denver is your option. Now, as for your sleeper picks, you need to get up, get out, and get something. Don't let the waiver wire studs pass you by. You need to get up, get out, and get something. Don't sleep since the stock is not high. All right, as I remix Goody Mob and Outkast right there. You want to go get Mike Wallace from Baltimore? He's a starter. He's a deep threat and consequently a perfect complement for Joe Flacco's cannon arm. And the last time I checked, he was owned in only 33% of the fantasy football leagues. So go out and get him. Also, check for rookie Devontae Booker, the backup running back to CJ Anderson. Anderson is injury prone. Booker has fresh, young legs, and he did take first team reps in training camp. Gary Kubiak runs an offense where running backs do split carries. His first stint as offensive coordinator in Denver, while he was the head coach in Houston, and now is head coach of Denver. Booker is a great sleeper to hold on to for the future, but also during week 2 with a favorable matchup against a non-threatening, non-existent Colts defense, especially in their linebacker core where Vontae Davis is out again this afternoon. Now, this question came straight from my Facebook page from Latasha Joan Madden Miles, which you need to send me a request as well because I got you for the future weeks. I'm going to take care of you for sure. But anyway, the question came from Brian Eason down in Savannah, Georgia. Now, take a look at his roster as you see it scroll on the screen. He said, I'm trying to decide who to play this week. What's your thoughts on my roster? Thanks for reaching out, Brian, and here's what I have for you. That was a brilliant move to have Eric Decker in with his 126-yard, 1-touchdown performance on Thursday night. I don't like your tight end situation, though. Granted, you have Tyler Eifert on the bench because of injury, and he's coming back soon, and he's a good tight end to hold on to. However, Richard Rodgers, that Richard Rodgers move that you got to get rid of him. He's a concern for your spare tight end during Eifert's absence. Aaron Rodgers threw the ball to him one time last week. Yeah, one, singular. Ain't no S on the end of that. Not several times, just one time. And the Packers also have Jared Cook as their number 1 tight end. But if Larry Donnell is available, pick him up. He's a red zone target for Eli Manning, and unlike Richard Rodgers in Green Bay, Donnell is a number 1 tight end, and he's available in most leagues. Or check for Mercedes Lewis or Thomas in Jacksonville. The Jaguars will run a 2 tight end set, and they have an emerging quarterback in Blake Bortles to execute what they're trying to do. And one of those, if not both, should be available. Also, your bench needs some work. Drop Jerick McKinnon. Minnesota has AP and Asiata, and also drop Ted Ginn. Now, he had a stellar season last year, but that was because Kelvin Benjamin was injured. Now that Benjamin is back and Funchess is the other starter, you can definitely drop Ginn. Look for names such as Theo Riddick, Jalen Richard, and Chris Thompson. Also, Will Fuller, Tajay Sharp, and Terrell Pryor. that should get you squared away. All right? Again, thanks so much for reaching out, and good luck to you on week 2 and throughout the rest of the season. Well, that's going to do it for me on this segment of your Fantasy Fulfilled. I'm the homie, Latasha Miles, a.k.a. Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is SheSP in the Network, and continue to stay tuned. Thanks again so much, and we'll see you next time. And I'm out. What's going on, good people? It's your girl again, Latasha Miles, a.k.a. Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at she_SPN and at Facebook at Latasha Joan Madden Miles. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is SheSP in the Network. Hey, I'm kind of a big deal. You know, I'm a little bit cute, got some beauty, got some brains. That way on that channel, you'll be able to see the interviews that I've done, some of the famous people that I worked with, the projects I've worked on, things of that nature. And don't forget to log on to CreateSpace.com and Amazon.com and get your copies of my book, When Football Season Turns You Into His Side Chick, The Ultimate Survival Guide for Relationships and Households during football season. I appreciate your support, and hey, I gotta run. They're over here calling me on the other line. I gotta manage another fantasy football league. I'm out.